Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Good morning, everybody. Cowboy here. It is working here. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, should be good. Yeah. All right. Wednesday, the 24th, 8:33 a.m. EST. You got SGCS4N on here. Good morning, sir or ma'am, whichever you may be. Assuming sir, just because most people who watch this are dudes. Yeah, buddy. Got some guys in the private chat as well. Yeah, gold and silver, they're headed down. I talked about this. You know, I thought we were going to see a sideways week, but then it actually just broke down. And if you zoom way out, you'll notice that this was a gargantuan move, and gargantuan moves over the high time frame are going to want to pull back. It's just how it is. The first sort of structure shelf where it makes sense for this to pull back is going to be around 3,500. Okay, that's on gold. And you know, what happens is with most assets, the way this happens is you get these big moves up whenever you do have a big move up, right? And then it's going to settle down for a while. And one of the places it's going to want to settle down to is going to be one of the tops. One of the prior tops here. That's kind of what we're looking at. So, you know, that's a likely place for price to go. And on gold, let me just fix this really quick. On gold, it's going to be 3,500. That's a likely spot. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to go all the way down there. It doesn't. It could actually bounce right where it is and continue to head up. But this is a definite downtrend. Okay. Price is in a downtrend. No doubt about it. And there's a lot of liquidity here for price to grab. And ultimately, the paper market, which is still having a ton of effect on things, is going to push price down. You know, from what I understand, people are still buying physical metal, and that's still going on in other countries. US too, people are always, you know, stacking up a little metal. But in the end, you know, if people think the price is going to go a lot further, they're going to panic out and look to buy lower, right? So this is a chance. This also could be a big game that gets played where people get duped into selling when they shouldn't. But I can tell you that these charts are pretty bearish. That's that I can tell you. All right. So that's what we're looking at. That's where we are. Let's take a look here. Yeah, I don't see any questions yet. Yeah. So it's realistic that this would head down to 3,500. And if I switch over to silver, it's even more volatile. It's headed down even in a stronger fashion down to what looks to be 55. It's a good spot for it to hang out and bounce for a while. Now, what's going to happen after that, we don't know. But both of these metals are in a move down. They're in a downtrend. It's a pretty clear downtrend here, right? You have lower highs, lower lows. That, my friend, is a downtrend. And it is what it is. Things go up, things go down. Just means that it's cheap. We get to get more, right? That's all that means. So, you know, that for those of us who are bullish on metals, right? That's what that means. So sitting at $58. Now that it has broken down, this is one chart that I didn't get right, which is with metals. Usually I mostly get them right. With most things, I get them right. But as a trader, you will learn that you never get them all right. And all you can do is hope to get at least half right. And I tend to get more than that. But yeah, it's breaking down. It is doing that. So can it make it down there this week? It can. This is a pretty strong trajectory. I don't know that it's going to do it though. We're halfway through the week, and while this is a strong breakdown, most likely it'll, you know, play around and, you know, do these other things, maybe bounce up a little bit. You know, it's rarely ever things move in a straight line. And if they do, it's not for very long. So that's what we could expect for metals, is just probably a slow grind down towards 54 for silver. Let me take a look at the data stack. Yeah, definitely a bearish look for now. Even on the monthly. Usually the monthly is doesn't look this way, but that's where it is. It'll settle in. It'll find a spot, and it will go. Tungsten asks SGCS4 and then let's see a look. I think the only way I can find tungsten exposure is going to be through um, one of these companies, right? I'm not sure that we can get a price on tungsten. Let me see here. I don't know if I can get just like some kind of to trade markets. Let's see. I'll see if there is a ticker just for tungsten. Feel free to provide me a ticker whenever you ask a question. I'm going to reset the browser here. All right, let's see what this says. Can I trade tungsten? It's a minor metal, over-the-counter spot price benchmarks, strategic metal ETFs, VanEck. So yeah, it's going to be through one of these, one of these mining companies. I'll go with an American one. We'll go with American Tungsten Corp, TUNGF. So this is how you're going to get exposure to tungsten. And this is going to be a high time frame play, which you seem to like on your questions. Not a lot of data in the high time frame on this, so I can only go with the weekly, which is a good way to go. Look, this is in an uptrend, and tungsten is not a precious metal. It is, I guess we would call it an industrial or perhaps a strategic metal, and it's leveling out, right? So what I can tell you on a high time frame with this mining chart is that you have this high and this low, and I imagine the other tungsten companies are going to look similar. And price really, the volatility is falling off, but it's also starting to show a switch to a bullish regime. So if I had to guess what was going to happen next, I would guess that this is a very difficult thing to predict right now. Like whatever I say here could totally not go this way. But it may level off and head up. And a lot of that's going to depend on, because tungsten is, it's not a metal that you trade anywhere per se, aside from exposure such as this. I think you're looking at what's going to happen in the world with tungsten, right? So let's say, is the use and purchase of physical tungsten expected to increase or decrease or stay level over the next 2 years, 5 years? See, this really is when you'd have to look at fundamentally. It's the global demand for physical tungsten is expected to increase significantly over 2 and 5 year horizons. So the market is currently undergoing a massive shift, driving compound annual growth rates roughly 4.5 to 6%. Okay, so there you go. Fundamentally, more tungsten will get used, and that is reflected in this chart going back to 2025. So chances are it probably won't break below this low at 74.60, and a decent chance it'll climb up. But this is not a very, look, I'm a TA guy. I do technical trades. I'm not a fundamentals guy per se. Okay, so you're asking me to be a little bit out of my bailiwick, right? I like to look at things that are going to happen in 4 hours, not 4 years. But from an investment standpoint, I think it's probably okay. But again, I don't give investment advice. I can just kind of look at what's happening, give you what the data says, and then you have to kind of make your own choice. So I think we have time for just one more chart before we head off to the private live lab. Taking a look at the NASDAQ here. I'll flash back to the chart that I drew, but it is good to take a look at the higher time frame. Just to keep perspective, because everybody's like, the NASDAQ's falling. Like, not really. I mean, the NASDAQ is just staying steady way up here in this stratosphere. I mean, just to remind you, the move up that we saw from, what is this? late March, early April, all the way up until the high right there, that was a 3 sigma event, meaning that it had 0.2% chance of moving that fast, that far, that fast, if you will. So just letting you know that that was a remarkable move and price is maintaining up here. These types of moves have pullbacks. Any move up is going to have some form of a pullback. And the fact that this has not crashed down to the, what is this, the October highs yet is a miracle. It's simply a miracle. This thing should have been moving down towards 26,766, and it's just being held up. So the NASDAQ really has a lot going on. It's just a lot of money being pushed into it. Now, in the weekly newsletter, I did a report that talks about what has fundamentally changed for the NASDAQ, okay? And I'll talk about this, and then we'll go over. First of all, let's just keep let's take a closer look at least the predictions I made and what's going on the Monday newsletter. Okay, so the Monday newsletter, Monday video, I predicted sideways or possible down in the NASDAQ, and it seems to be actually chopping. It's chopping in between kind of what I predicted. I predicted like a kind of a sideways and up move or a harder move down, and it's just chopping around. I was actually profitable yesterday, especially after the market, but this kind of crap is terrible to have to trade. And that's all it's been, is just this crap. Anybody that's trading in this is just getting stomped. And I can tell you right now, this right here, that's been going on since like Tuesday close, Tuesday pre-open. This right here usually means the large players are not playing. It's like they don't want anything to do with this. It's just retail, a lot of retail or smaller players chopping around right there. Will it make a move today? I don't know. But this right here means that all the big boys kind of just stopped playing. So why they stopped, I don't know. But we're not seeing any, even the chop up here is better than this chop. At least that chop has some very distinct moves. This chop right here is just, I mean, man, it's nothing. Market's dead. And I don't know what that means, but I can tell you that as of this week, the big change is that they got rid of the December rule. And what that means is that before making any major changes to the NASDAQ, they had to wait until December. And they got rid of that. And now we're at quarterly. Now, tech trading is now different than it's ever been. And the reason is that they're getting rid, or at least they got rid of 5 major companies that were software as a service type companies. And they added companies that manufacture tech. Okay, so what that means is that, look, software as a service can weather the downturns in a way that the hardware, I shouldn't say that. Software as a service is not subject to supply and demand issues like hardware is. Hardware's got supply and demand issues, okay? So hardware is going to have, like, they'll get hit harder. There's a lot more volatility, but because hardware has physical components that they're investing in, then hardware can actually have a higher floor. So prices won't go down as far, but they will go down and up a lot faster due to supply and demand issues that software as a service doesn't have. Now, there was 5 companies that got switched out of 100, but that could mark a new trend, right? So if that trend continues, we may end up seeing more volatility and less moves down. So that's kind of it's a good market for traders and investors in a way there. There's more volatility and the floors get higher. But again, they changed out 5 companies for 5 new companies, and it's a 100 company index. And most of it's made up of, things like NVIDIA makes up some 14% of it. So we'll see what happens, though. We got SpaceX, Anthropic's coming. There's a lot of big changes happening. So what they've done is they've done away with, I don't know how many years and years of tradition of the December rule, and we're going to have to see how that affects things. If you want to get the emails with the newsletter, go ahead, go to the description. There's a link. Click on the link. You'll see a video that I made. It's a free video. It's a free algo, as a matter of fact. Now, you do have to optimize the algo before you use it. We teach you how to optimize it over at algofactory.tech, so come join us. But it's a video where I build an algo. I turn it into code using AI. You can use any AI you want. I used Grok. And I show you some of the tools traders use to connect that to their exchange so it can trade for them. So while they're not sitting at the computer, they can be playing golf or sleeping or doing anything they want, and it trades for them. And it's cool. So check that out, and you will be signed up for the newsletter. Thanks for watching. We will see you tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. EST sharp. And do not forget.
Join us or die.